Alfred North Whitehead was a mathematician and philosopher. His work can be divided into three main phases. At first he was a mathematician, teacher of Bertrand Russell. After that he became a philosopher of science. And due to what he believed to be the failure of the scientific paradigm, he developed lastly his metaphysics. His metaphysics can be called a system of panpsycho-panentheism. That is, a panpsychism that all entities have sentience, or proto-sentience, or experience, combined with a panentheism that God, in scare quotes, is nature and more. It's often called panexperientialism. Whitehead himself calls his system the philosophy of organism. It's also known as process philosophy. Why? Because every entity is an organism, which is encapsulated in his sentence, quote, "Biology is the study of the larger organisms, whereas physics is the study of the smaller organisms." It's known as process philosophy because in actuality there are no static substances, but only events, occasions, processes. Now, the smallest processes are called actual occasions or actual entities. These are drops of experience that constitute nature. Actual entities are perspectives on the world, analogous to Leibniz's monads. They are transitory, they become and they perish. The process of an actual entity is called a concrescence. That involves an initial subjective aim to create that actual entity, a prehension of other actual entities, a subjective aim that conduces a decision, and a satisfaction that completes the process. An initial subjective aim is bequeathed by the panentheistic God that sets off an experiential perspective. An actual entity prehends other actual entities, but not in the traditional relation of representation to object, but rather as part to whole. That is to say, the prehension of an actual entity is the actual inclusion of that entity within itself. This fusion he calls vectoring. There is no absolute subject-object dichotomy. The type of qualia that an actual entity employs for its prehension is called an eternal object. These eternal objects are metaphysical pure potentials and subsist within the realm of God. Prehensions can be positive or negative, physical or conceptual. Positive prehensions are of what is included within the actual entity. Negative prehensions reject entities and concepts for inclusion. Physical prehensions are of other actual entities. Conceptual prehensions are of eternal objects alone. There are also impure and hybrid prehensions, which are combinations of the above. An actual entity is determined by past prehensions, but is also to varying extents self-determined through its subjective aim that strives for experiential aesthetic intensity. There is thus efficient causality in the inheritance of the prehensions of actual entities, and final causation, teleology, in the subjective aim of actual entities. Actual entities in aggregate are called nexus, and if the nexus share a common characteristic, they are called societies. An electron is an example of a society, as is an atom, molecule, and a crystal. Whitehead adopts a dual aspect theory whereby external appearance correlates to internal experience. What are traditionally named organisms are complex societies. These high-grade societies transmute a plurality of incoming prehensions into an abstracted unity for ease of comprehension. Common human sense perception is an example thereof. There are two main species of human perception: perception in the mode of causal efficacy and perception in the mode of presentational immediacy. Perception in the mode of presentational immediacy is commonly identified with all perception being that of the five senses. Perception in the mode of causal efficacy is the less distinct yet more ubiquitous internal experience of the actions and experiences of the past and concurrent surroundings flowing into the present. Now, God is vital for the operations of Whitehead's system. He has two natures, the primordial and the consequent. The primordial nature of God is the realm of eternal objects. The eternal objects, are ingressed into all our experiences, thereby determining the qualitative type of that experience. The consequent nature of God is the pantheistic unity of all experiences drawn into one higher consciousness, somewhat analogous to Fechner's God. The primordial nature of God is unconscious, the consequent nature of God is conscious. God bestows the initial subjective aim for an actual entity as a lure for its concrescence in the experiential intensity it evokes. It is God's purpose to enjoy the experiential intensities he provokes. Now, God is not omnipotent, as actual entities and their societies have their own teleology. God is not omniscient because the future does not yet exist, because novelty emerges from actualities via their subjective aim and the infinity of internal objects. God is not omnibenevolent because morality, for Whitehead, is subordinate to aesthetic appreciation, which is God's desire. Thus, perhaps God is a misnomer. Above God and actual entities, the third main principle of Whitehead's cosmology is creativity. God conditions creativity, but it is beyond his control. All but the primordial nature of God is subject to flux, to process, to novelty, to creativity. Matter evolves as well as organisms. The laws of nature change. Even the three dimensions of our extensive epoch will pass into history, and in its place a cosmos of unimaginable difference will arise.